First of all, I'd like to begin by acknowledging that we are in Robinson Superior Treaty Territory and that the land on which we gather is a traditional territory of the Anishinaabe and the Métis. I'd like to have approval of the agenda. Are you okay with the agenda? And is there any disclosures of interest tonight? Hearing no disclosures of interest, we do have a delegation tonight, Staff Sergeant Moscow, with the 2022 fourth quarter and the 2023 first quarter report.
Hi everybody. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Staff Sergeant David Moscow. I'm the detachment commander at Nipigon. I've policed in this area since 1984. I started with Canadian Pacific Railway Police and worked this whole area, and then transitioned to the OPP in 1997, and I've worked with the OPP since then in various capacities, including on the road in Thunder Bay, worked in Shunya when we first got into contract policing, worked plainclothes in the casino unit, worked in the Provincial Communications Center, worked as the operations manager in Thunder Bay, and currently am the detachment commander in Nipigon. So I've had a number of different roles within the organization, and this area is not unfamiliar to me. Grew up at kind of Stewart Lake when I was a kid and still own property there, so I've kind of been kicking around this area for pretty much most of my life. So thank you for inviting me. I apologize it's taken me so long to get here, but I'm more than happy to present what we're doing in your community, and I want to hear some of the concerns that you may have. So if you want to refer to the October-December report of 2022, just a couple of, there's a couple of areas. I mean, it's a huge report. So a couple of numbers that I want to speak to. Namely our increased traffic enforcement, our increased commitment to the ride programs, to reducing impaired driving, to within those programs, it allows us to gather some intelligence on some of the individuals moving drugs and guns through our area. We have a chance to get close and personal with some of them and make some pretty good arrests of Toronto gang members running through the area. So we've had some really good luck in that regard. Couple of numbers that have kind of jumped up, not so much in the 2022 side here. The 2020 side, we're up on a couple of charges around thefts and frauds. We're seeing an increase across the region, and that will slide over into the 2023 report. The grandparent scams, right? The fraudulent phone calls and the grandparent scams, and we're trying to. I sit on a committee called Age Friendly in Thunder Bay, and it's through the region. What we're trying to do is we're really trying to convince young people to have those conversations with their grandmas, their aunts, and to have that safety valve so that the sense of urgency is taken away. And that's how these fraudsters work, is they create a sense of urgency, and then they create a situation where you have to pay to get out of that sense of urgency. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to make sure that we have those conversations and get people to have those conversations with the vulnerable in our communities and say, look, you don't have to do what someone says over the phone, and have that one person that you trust that you can call. Have that safety valve in place to say, if you get a strange phone call, hang up the phone and call me, and then we'll sort it out. And so we're really trying to deliver that message. The other piece of what we're trying to do is get the officers back into the schools. So during COVID, we were basically out of the schools. The principals didn't want us there, and the organization really didn't want us there either. So integrating ourselves back into the school, working on lockdown procedures. Again, we were at one today in Red Rock, and I'm encouraging the officers when they go to the school, talk to the principals, have them run through the lockdown procedures, because as you turn on the TV and look at what's happening south of the border, it's a weekly thing, it seems, and you know, we tend to be a few years behind, but unfortunately the craziness that happens down south seems to move its way north eventually. We do a lot of training in that area. We were ahead of the curve on that training. We started that training over 20 years ago. So our officers are constantly training for either workplace violence or school violence. It's a constant thing that we do. We don't sit around and wait. We go right away, and we have the equipment and we have the training to do that. So the days of setting up a perimeter and waiting for tactical teams is long gone. That what you saw in Texas, I can guarantee you, will not have the same response from our officers. Patrol hours, again, listed on page 16 of your document. And basically those are the kind of things I want to address, were mainly the frauds, the ride programs, and us back into the schools. We are really working on, so some of this will spill into both reports. So we currently broke a fairly large break and enter ring. And so what you'll see as we transition into the January, March, you'll see a large number of property crimes. Those are a snapshot in time. We solved a lot of those, and that was one individual that was, well, a group of individuals that were responsible for about, we figured about $750,000 in area property crimes, but we nailed that down. We got them arrested. We've got a lot of the property returned. We got everything from trucks to couches. Stole a leather couch out of a camp. Yes, sir.
Was that local, or was people from outside?
Some of it was local. Some of it was tied in with local. Some of these people were from out of town. A couple of people involved were working for the construction companies. So what they did was they got hired into these construction companies and got to spend some time in the region. So a lot of the construction companies were getting hit with high value thefts, generators, copper, anything that they could sell, tools. We also linked them to a theft in Timmins where a bunch of mining equipment was stolen. So we actually solved thefts from Timmins to Edmonton. We had, and these guys were traveling back and forth. They were transient. Some of them were transient, and some of them were working with locals. So there was a real mix. We found stuff from BC that had been stolen in BC and brought this way. So we know that some of the items and things went the other way. So you're going to see those in your reports. You're going to see those thefts, but some of those were crystallized by the fact that they were actually reported. So they were captured as far as the stats, but they were also solved. So you'll see a little bump in that. So do you have any questions on the 2022 report? I know it's kind of a lagging indicator, but there it is.
I have a question.
Yes.
Only because we've been to Municipal League recently, we get a lot of requests. We have our own community well-being group started, and we're always talking about drug problems and the opioid crisis.
Yes.
So I was surprised to see for 21 and 22, drug crime really at zero. But I'm guessing this report is just for Schreiber?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So
And
there's a
you
couple of
alluded to- yeah.
there's a couple little pieces with that.
Okay.
So if things happen on the highway, they're not necessarily scored to the township.
Okay.
So you don't get charged for that under the model. So that would be written off to the province. So there may be times where there are charges, and even though they happen in the area, if they're written to the provincial highway, they actually don't fall into your bucket of information, if
Okay.
you will. Okay. Some of the things we're working on the drug side, there are a lot of transient people involved. We're working on one major one right now that we hope to execute the warrant soon. So you'll see a little bit of a little less activity. Having said that, we're working in collaboration with the Thunder Bay City Police, the drug units there, because these folks will always try and move money and drugs a different way, right? So we're trying to cut off all the different avenues. So they were on the highway, then they went to the airports, that got pushed off that. Then they went to buses and we pushed them off that. Then they're going back to cars. I mean, it's nothing to stop a car and pull 70, 80,000 out of a car and probably a handgun, right? So there's huge money involved, and we're banging away on them as best we can. So sometimes depending on the snapshot in time, that might not be always captured within your stats.
So you're saying the RIDE program really helps to give you a reason to stop people going?
Yeah, RIDE programs give us a really good opportunity, not only to look for impaired driving, but also you get to see who's in the community, right?
Yeah.
And there's certain I don't like to use the word profiles because we can't profile people. But there are certain things that we can look for within the scope of those programs to build our intelligence and to build cases in some cases. So just as an example, we may not get anything off that particular stop, but we may get information that we feed into the system that will help someone either in Toronto or Thunder Bay or wherever, maybe track the progress of this person, place them in certain places at certain times with certain people, and eventually when we compile all that information, we're able to pull cases together. I don't want to go into too much more than that because I don't know who's watching.
Yeah.
But having said that, it's all bits and pieces, parts of the puzzle, so to speak.
Yeah.
But again, our commitment, of course, is to reduce deaths on our highways. I mean, we still lose an awful lot of people in this province, 550, 600 people a year due to speed and impaired driving. So we have a huge commitment to reduce those numbers. And I mean, we've all had, all our communities have been touched by, by people that have died on our highways. So we all have a vested interest in making sure that we push on that. Mr. Chair, did you want to, were you going to approve this report, or were you going to approve them as a package?
Do it as a
Both
package.
together. Okay. I didn't want to move ahead of your agenda. So when we refer to the January to March 2023, again, fraud's up, assault's up. I think we found we were having a lot of calls related to mental health, and especially during COVID and coming out of COVID. So people who could barely structure their day and deal with their life were really challenged because of COVID, and we haven't seen the end of that effect yet, because it did change some people who were marginal on their coping skills. And what's happening is we're getting a lot more in the way of mental health calls, or calls that are driven by mental health problems, mainly the assaults and some of the threats and some of the other things that are going on. And they're taking even more time because the mental health challenges that we have, we're spending a lot more time in the hospitals with people who have to be formed under the Mental Health Act, and that's taking a little bit more time. Those investigations become a little more complex. So we're seeing still a little bit of an uptake on that. Page 9 of your package there, we see that the mischiefs, the threats, and your alarms are high too. Um, Ride hours, again, we listed the ride hours, and our commitments are basically that that our officers are doing at least 2 ride programs a shift, and we're really working hard on driving down those impaired numbers. And yeah, I think it's having a result. We're seeing our impaired numbers. We're seeing our impaired numbers. I can't say that they're dropping in all cases, but you're seeing the effect of the you're seeing the effect of that work, right? Certainly in Nipigon area, we've grabbed a couple of more impaireds than normal, but overall, I think we're having a pretty strong impact. I get a lot of anecdotal evidence of people just calling, saying, "Geez, you guys are doing rides everywhere." To me, that's a good thing. Again, and we use that program for a little bit of everything, right? We do the ride program, of course, to really nail down the drinking and driving, but we also get some really good intelligence on who's in town, who's with who, and those will often lead off to other charges. A big push towards bail reform, as you see throughout the province, that the government is trying to pressure the judiciary. Yeah, is that right? As far as getting bail reform nailed down, and getting some of the individuals that we come across actually held. And, so that's a big push that the commissioner is pushing on, and you're going to see a lot more activity by our people as far as breaches and warrants, executing warrants and clearing warrants. And we know that there's people with outstanding warrants, and we're actually putting teams together and going to get them. We need to try and make our communities as safe as we can, and there's too many people slipping through the cracks. So we're trying to tighten that down, and by tightening down on that end, we're able to go to the government and say, look, we're doing our part. You need to help us with your end of things too. So the commission has been very, in light of the tragedies that we've had in the last 10 months or so, the commissioner is really hot on the government to make a few things happen. So we're not seeing really big jumps in crime numbers here. Things have been pretty steady. I hope my officers are doing a good job here. I'm checking in with them on a regular basis, trying to get the pulse. If you have concerns, please call me. Call the office. Call me anytime. I certainly want to make sure that we're providing the best possible service that we can, and that the officers are doing what you need them to do to have a feeling of safety in your own community. So don't hesitate to reach out at any time. I think that's all I have, unless you folks have some questions.
I have a question.
Yes,
I just
sir.
want to circle back to where you started with fraud, and I mean, what can we do as a community? It seems every second, or sometimes some days every call I'm getting is from a scammer of some sort. So
Yeah.
I mean, you usually get the phone number that comes up
Yeah.
associated with that. Would that be helpful to?
The phone numbers are, I'm not a techie guy,
Yeah.
but these guys are able to create numbers and grab onto numbers and create numbers that when you try to call them back, go through different loops of different servers, if you will. So the numbers are not as helpful. There's the fraud hotline. But what I want you to do is as leadership for your community, is when you're having events with seniors, please invite us. Please let us, because I will send officers to talk about this. I will send we only get a fraction of the calls that actually happen. And the reason why is usually the victims are reluctant and they're embarrassed, right? They don't want to tell their kids that they just sent $20,000 to someone that called them on the phone. So we really need to find a way to take away that stigma, and we need to find a way to tell people it's okay that, but have a plan. And the plan has to be, you will never give out banking information, you will never give out personal information, you will never send money based on a phone call. Almost a pledge from them to say, I will call you, whoever you is, right? But have that safety valve to say, if I get a weird phone call, I will hang up and I will call you. And we have to, as a group, we have to really hammer that home and have that opportunity to have that chat at every opportunity. So if there's senior events that are happening that we have the opportunity to reach out and deliver that message, I will come down myself. I will send officers, because I would much rather educate than have to take a report of someone that's just blown their life savings on some online scam or some ridiculous phone calls. And I've had seniors call me and say, I'm on my way to Shoppers to buy
iTunes cards.
To buy cards. Yeah. You think I should? And my answer is always turn around. Thanks for calling me. Turn around and go home. And do not answer the phone. Yeah. Right? But it's so they get you, right? And for some reason, people of my generation and older have to answer the phone. Like, it's not very often that we can let a phone ring and not answer it, right? And I've still got a house phone. I'm the last guy in the world that still has a house phone, right? But I still have a full house phone. But if the house phone rings, I answer the damn thing. And I don't know why, because 9 times out of 10, it's either my mother-in-law, who doesn't really want to talk to me anyway. She wants to talk to her daughter because she lost the remote at the old folks' home and she can't find the damn thing, or it's a scammer, right? So I mean, but I still pick it up, right? Or it's one of the political parties looking for money. I forgot that one. Yeah. But they could be lumped in with scammers in some part. But yeah, so you know, it's. That's the biggest thing you can do. And please invite us. We will come. We will show up. We will come. We will sit down, and we'll really have those conversations. Say it's okay to call someone. You're not being dumb. You're not being. It's not that you can't take care of your affairs by calling someone. It's a safety valve, right? So yeah, if we can get that message out, that would be amazing. So we will be more than happy to help with that. Invite us. We'll gladly come to anything. If it's any kind of club, any kind of.
Yeah, we have a senior center here, so there might be an opportunity there. We'll invite you for lunch,
absolutely.
And then there'll be more people there.
And I'll send someone once a month. Like it doesn't matter if they have a meeting once a month. I'll gladly send someone once a month until we keep driving that message home, right? Yeah. Like until here he is again. Okay, I have to call so and so. That's fine. Yeah. We'll keep delivering that message because. I mean, my guys we all have grandparents, parents, and people that are vulnerable to this stuff. So, I mean, everyone's got a vested interest in it, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's all I got. So.
No, that's perfect.
That's perfect.
Thank you very much.
Okay, well,
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm probably going to go grab some supper over at Filet's because I'm excited. Again, call my office. You have the email for my office, or you have the phone number. Call at any time. Any concerns, anyone, or if you need more information, if I can get you more information as far as things going on in the area, initiatives that they're working on in the region, by all means, I'm more than happy to spend the time.
Okay. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
A good presentation for seniors program.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That was my next question, but he had it covered.
Yeah.
Okay, speaking of questions, question period. No questions, eh? Okay, minutes of previous meetings. Resolution 190. 23. Moved by Councilor Morrow, second by Councilor Bryson, that the minutes of the council and committee of the whole meeting held May 9th, 2023 be accepted as circulated. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Carried. Business arising from the minutes, committee of the whole recommendations. Resolution 191-23. Moved by Councilor Burgeot, seconded by Councilor McGrath, that council accept a quotation from Flo Darling Limited in the amount of $3,940 excluding applicable taxes to repair the broken venting for the boiler and tankless water heater at the Public Works garage. Discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Resolution 192-23. Moved by Councilor Bryson, second by Councilor Burgeot, that council accept the quotation from Strongo in the amount of $57,093.62, excluding applicable taxes, for float moves and the replacement of the rear differential on the 2015 Volvo G690B grader. Discussion?
Again, Nathan, we just had decided last meeting that was the best route to go, given that there's so many more hours that unit could be used for, right? Okay.
Exactly.
All those in favor? Carried.
Hopefully the horizon is no more major fixes.
Yeah. That's welcome.
Someone can touch wood.
Yeah. Okay. There.
Resolution 193-23, moved by Councilor Morrow, seconded by Councilor Burgeot. The council accept the quotation from Fuse Creek Hobby Distributors Incorporated in the amount of $1,700.11, excluding applicable taxes, for Schreiber Discovery Center merchandise. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Carried. Resolution 194-23. Moved by Councilor McGrath, seconded by Councilor Bryson, that council sponsor the purchase of corsages and boutonnieres for the 2023 Schreiber graduating students of Lake Superior High School. Discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Resolution 195-23. Moved by Councilor Morrow, seconded by Councilor Burgeot. The Council of the Township of Schreiber support Resolution 152-23 of the Municipality of Shunya with respect to the opposition to Enbridge charging third-party contractors and other utilities for utility locates where a field locate is required. Discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Resolution 196-23. Moved by Councillor Bryson, seconded by Councillor McGrath. The council purchase a silver sponsorship package in support of the Superior Classic Car Club Terrace Bay Drag Fest in the amount of $1,000 excluding applicable taxes. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Carried. Accounts for payment. Resolution 197-23. Moved by Councillor Bourgeois, second by Councillor Morrow, that bank debits paid out of the general bank account in the month of March 2023 in the amount of $39,714.25 be approved and ratified. Discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Unfinished business. Resolution 198-23. Moved by Councillor Bourgeois, seconded by Councillor Bryson, that council direct administration to vest the property known as 5851-000-003-07400 as per the rules outlined in the Municipal Act 2001, and that the property be declared a surplus asset to be disposed of. Discussion?
Do you want to remind people, Nathan, what that was?
The property itself, or
Well, just how we got to this.
this was again a arrangement again made by the CRA in order for us to determine a means to move the property out of receivership, so to speak, and in order to get it to contribute to taxation again.
Perfect.
All those in favor? Carried. Resolution 199-23. Moved by Councillor McGrath, seconded by Councillor Bourgeois. The council accept the terms of the contract for K Cardiff to water the 15 hanging flower baskets for the 2023 summer session in the amount of $550 per month plus applicable taxes. Discussion?
Nathan, do we know when the beautification committee is buying their baskets?
The committee had already bought these baskets.
They're already done? Okay.
They're already ordered. They usually come in probably the third week in June. Don't want to put them up before.
Well, no. Yeah, the new moon.
So,
And I apologize for the attachment, so that contract was emailed out.
That's okay.
all those in favor? Carried. Other business. Resolution 200-23. Moved by Councillor Bryson, second by Councillor Morrow, that bylaw 19-2023, being a bylaw to authorize the execution of the agreement between the Township of Schreiber and B&D Construction Incorporated, Winmar, Schreiber Splash Pad washroom renovation, be given first, second, third, and final reading and enacted. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Carried. Resolution 201-23, moved by Councillor Burgeau, seconded by Councillor McGrath, that bylaw 20-2023, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 23-2018, a bylaw to appoint the fire chief of the Schreiber Volunteer Fire Department, be given first, second, third, and final reading and enacted. Discussion? All those in favor? Carried. So now we'll move on to the committee of the whole portion of the meeting. Department reports and committee board minutes. First up is a treasurer report, council expenses and remuneration report from January to March of this year, 2023.
Did you want to just provide quick info on where we're at with expenses for the first quarter? I know it's just for our information, but
Yep.
the financial impact?
The total right here of until March 31st, 2023 is $26,000. So roughly if you're going trying to analyze it, it could be multiplied by 4. Of course, we do have our expenses for conferences that range quite dramatically, and if we are going down to AMO, that would be again a substantial expense. So
Right, and AMO I think is already included in these reports, aren't they? Yeah, our registration at least.
registration,
Yeah.
we will get the travel expenses and accommodation expenses later.
Thanks, Nathan.
Okay, I'm good with them. Number 2, treasury report, reserve to reserve fund transfers fiscal year 2022.
Your recommendations here. First recommendation, that council transfer from the NWMO Community Wellbeing Reserve Fund $1,473.47 to cover the 2022 costs of the LNG project as budgeted in bylaw 34/2022. Next, that council transfer to the Water and Sewer Reserve $59,986.25, which represents the 2022 surplus sewer revenue. Next, that council transfer to the Water and Sewer Reserve $44,955.12, which represents the 2023 surplus water revenue. Next, that council transfer from the Recreation Committee Reserve Fund $677, which covers the unfunded portion of the Reconnect Ontario grant for 2022 Heritage Days events.
Everybody okay with that? Bring it forward next meeting?
Yeah, good.
Number 3, treasury report, the municipal complex boiler federal gas tax use of the funds.
A recommendation from the treasurer that council approve the municipal complex boiler replacement project as a project under the federal gas tax funding agreement, and that $42,105.49 be transferred from the federal gas tax reserve fund at December 31st, 2022 to cover the 2022 township portion of the project costs.
Everybody okay with
Yeah,
that?
good with that.
Yeah. Yeah, they provided a pretty good analysis that from the total amount, almost half we've already got a grant for, right? So that we're just picking up the difference.
Yeah.
Perfect. And the balance that's due in 2023, council can make that decision as they start passing the 2023 budget.
Correct.
Okay.
Number 4, treasury report, budget variance report at December 31st of 2022. Anybody?
I had a quick look at it. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't have the revenues, but even with just the expenses, considering that there are some categories that are probably going to have a little bit of an adjustment, just in expenses alone, it looks like we were overspent to the tune of about $4,000. When we run a $6 million budget, that's pretty darn good.
Yep. So, number 5, treasury report, the budget variance till May 18th this year. And again, it's just no recommendations, it's just there for your
Information.
info, okay? Number 6, Director of Operations report. Status update. Were they here? I was busy today. Did they come back today, the Ontario Street reline?
No, they're due to arrive tomorrow.
They're due to arrive.
Connections will be made, temporary connections will be made tomorrow. We got the water sample results in today and everything is fine that way. So they'll make the final connections after some flushing happens, and then they'll start excavating their pits.
Okay, and what are they going to do? Work right through or work
I
5
believe
days?
they plan to work through the weekend. They do have hours of operation during the day, so they're not disturbing residents in the evening hours, but I believe they're working through the weekend.
Okay. Better watch the speed bump down at
So this time next week, we should be very close to testing and having samples of the main sent to Thunder Bay again, and that's really going to be the longest process, is waiting for results again before we can do the final connections.
Yeah, it's gonna be, yeah, that'll be good. Any other,
Maybe Tammy could just give us some Cole's notes on some of these, like Aqua. It was nice to see that the turbidity, which we typically have a lot of, We didn't see too much this year.
Yes, you've got your wood handy. We made it through spring turnover.
Yeah, no, it's not that, we had a very nice spring runoff.
Yeah.
Today, the creek quit running.
Yeah, yeah.
I drove by every morning. No, they did a good job on topping off the filters, and doing the filter study helped out, but I mean, it was great. So it's good not to get into boil water in the spring because of the turbidity, so.
Yeah, for sure. Just to be clear, the filter study is a year-long process.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But it was the beginning of it. They were prepared for it just before spring turnover, and all that data is collected. When you're collecting data like that, it's important to get all the different ranges that's happening with your source water. So it's kind of too bad we didn't have the worst spring we've ever seen, but the results will definitely be good in our favor as far as accommodating or any changes that we may have to look at for the filters at the plant. The other item here I have is CPR was very cooperative in getting the water connected to their train for their crew. That's all been established there, so that went very well.
Is that a metered connection, Tammy?
It is not a metered connection, but the gentleman that I met there took me on a tour of the train, and I took an inventory of all the water usage that could possibly happen in there. And based on what our rates are, they probably will not exceed that by a long shot for our minimum charge. So I think we'll be okay there. And we've got all the backflow preventers in place, so our system remains safe. And they were very cooperative and very immediate reactions when asked to do something there. So it's really a good experience.
And the splash pad. Is it confirmed that RML and ABC are coming?
Yes, actually, the ABC and their electrician will be here on May 29th, 30th. We've arranged for our staff to be trained on the water cabinet May 30th. I met with Tom, the electrical inspector today from ESA. So he gave me some directions that I shared with ABC today and RML. So we're all on the same page. They're going to take out a permit for the electrical work. We cannot take possession of the park until the final electrical inspection happens. So Tom has made arrangements on his schedule to come back on the 30th to do the final inspection in the afternoon, so that things can be turned over to us, and it should be a seamless process.
So everything goes well then 2 days, and then we'll have ownership and safety inspection will go good. We can get some swings up for the kids, and
ABC will do all of that. They'll get everything ready to go so that we can commission it right away.
I think we're gonna have a lot of happy kids in town.
Mm-hmm.
We will, we're planting grass again. We're leveling the grass and planting it. We're going to put a fence up around just a small decorative kind of fence, just to keep people off the grassed area, just enough so that it can grow, and then we can remove that after. But we need to try and keep people off the grass while we're trying to grow it.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And mostly everybody that I've seen over there so far has been good.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else on anything?
We've done our accessibility audit on all the buildings. We're ready for our committee meeting. And we did a management health and safety review of all the buildings. And we've identified a list of repair items that have been already issued through work orders, so I think we're in good shape.
Okay, great. Okay, number 7, Director of Operation, your change order.
That is for, sorry, go ahead.
I'll read out your recommendation.
Sorry.
That council accept the change order number 1 in the amount of $10,000 plus applicable taxes for temporary water connections for the east end of Ontario Street.
So as I pointed out before, this has been a project that kind of started in the middle of the project. So it was an item that I missed in the original contract. Stantec did the design and tendering. It wasn't part of the contract and I didn't notice it. So we absolutely need to give those residents across the highway temporary water services. So this change order is unavoidable. We had to, but the 20,000 contingency was already approved in this budget. So we're not exceeding any budgets.
And it was time sensitive, so
It was.
I phoned 2
Yeah.
councillors.
Yeah, you can't leave people without water. No.
Okay. So, we're good with that then. Director of Operations, line painting.
Recommendation here that council accept the quote from Levesque and Sons Contracting Limited in the amount of $5,787.20 plus applicable taxes for completing line painting in the township of Schreiber.
I'm definitely willing to give it a try. Give him a try. And like you say, he's on a ride-on machine. The lines should be
And the
straighter
quote-
and these and marathon as far as I'm concerned is local.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And the quotes are comparable. Very comparable, yeah.
Definitely.
My only comment as you actually addressed, Tammy, was just the raise in cost from last year to this year.
Yeah. The line paint has definitely increased last year and it's gone up again this year.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds good.
Okay. Number 9, finance and special projects, the Trillium Foundation capital grant.
The recommendation here that the council of the township of Schreiber has identified that repairs to the Schreiber Arena, Schreiber Municipal Complex, and J.D. Stokes Medical Center roofs are priority projects, and to approve an application to the Ontario Trillium Fund for funding. This is, again, very similar to the resolution we put forward to the NOHFC. We want to put a resolution to help with our application to show that this project is a priority project for council.
And these items were all listed in the asset management, right, Nathan?
And it also helps identify with council that, you do endorse that we utilize these projects for the Ontario Trillium Fund capital stream.
Any idea from Kim when you think we might hear? Maybe a while, right?
It may be a while.
Okay.
And we have
Like not this season, that long?
no, I doubt it would be this season. You're looking at a construction season probably next year.
2024.
Yeah.
So if we got it, we would have to come up with some sort of, because the arena roof's pretty
I mean, to be
bad, and it's only
Yeah.
gonna get
Mhm.
worse and probably
Yeah.
more expensive to fix.
Yeah.
To be fair, last year's capital project, we were fortunate enough that to be applied in the same year, and we were able to
Mhm.
do work on the boiler. So
Mhm.
it's not to say a hard no. I'm just thinking of how you would coordinate it later in the season once you
Yeah.
do have snowfall.
Yeah.
I don't know, Tammy, any
well,
thoughts on that?
Depend too on the criteria for the grant. I mean, we may
Right.
have to RFP it and that all takes time to do.
Right.
We definitely don't want to be shingling in cold weather. or tarring. So it depends on how the fall is going to look. I mean, it's a possibility, but it depends on temperature.
For budgeting and everything, I think you wanna, it's just way easier for you to look at it as a 2024 project.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
The Trillium funding doesn't just come out once a year, does it?
Yeah, it comes out,
Different pots come
different
out.
streams come out.
Yeah.
At different times, yeah.
And we've been successful in various streams of funding.
So these 3 projects would be obviously done by different contractors.
The idea is to do it all with one contractor to
Yeah.
make mob and demob much.
Okay, so they would, somebody that specializes in all these, like 3 projects. So the priority to me seems to be the arena roof
Yeah.
because of damage this year, so hopefully might be able to do something this year, so.
Yeah, for sure. That is definitely the highest of priorities.
Okay, number 10, Community Economic Development Committee minutes.
Yeah, I guess I could speak to that. I was there, so. A good meeting. We have a pretty good committee so far, but we're looking for other members. Always use and looking for somebody from the business community. So we have 2 seats available, if anybody's interested. Committee member will attend the Aquasab Chamber of Commerce meetings once they have been more established. Some of the future goals, projects that we come up with is provide lighting at the gazebo. Like, I think it was more lighting, like skylights was the idea. Like, it's pretty dark in there, and skylights would make a big difference. It would make it more attractive and probably be used more. The Discovery Center needs to be, opinion was to be more brushed out, so it could be easily identified coming down the hill from the west. And also approaching Schreiber from the east, looking at additional signage to identify the community. And the large sign that we know is on hand, or that's located in, I believe it's in the Hydro building, that committee members want to take a look at it and see what can be done with it, where the opportunities are. So this Thursday, there's a Schreiber Business Networking meeting. Anybody that's in business, working from home or has a commercial site in the community, they want to attend. It's at 7 o'clock on May 25th. And then we talked about the cruise ships coming in 2024. And there's supposed to be a cruise ship arriving at the site of the Ganilda on May 28th. And from what I understand, they're going to be anchored off the Ganilda. It's over a 700-foot cruise ship called the Octavius. So it'll be pretty neat to see that anchored out there. Well, that may be something that's common sight out there. Yeah. So we want to have a spur country presentation discussion set up for our June meeting. That's about it. All I want to cover.
Oh, that's good. Thanks for that. That meeting is at 7 o'clock Thursday night?
So, yeah, here at the municipal complex, yeah.
Yeah, the last one we had was before COVID, and in my opinion, it went very well. There was a lot of discussion and lots of participation, so hopefully it goes well again.
Yeah. We're hoping the thought behind it would be we could do this more often. I mean, COVID definitely slowed us down, right? But to have businesses network together and work with the committee and maybe on creating some future goals in future years. But just to get together and be able to discuss common concerns and common issues.
Now the sign that they're talking about, that's the one that is too large.
Yeah,
That's the issue, correct?
yes.
Yeah.
From what I
But
understand.
did we not, did we not find a spot where the highway said yes? Or am I mistaken?
I think you would have to move it sufficiently out of MTO's
Okay.
permit
Setback.
setback in
Yeah.
order to sort of get away with that. That being said, there may be some opportunities. For instance, you've highlighted that it's very difficult to see the Discovery Center when you're coming from, I guess, west to east.
Mm-hmm.
So perhaps that's an opportunity to see if it's far enough back from the MTO setbacks that then maybe they would allow us to put that sign there, and then that way anyone coming down that side may see, oh, you know, Schreiber Discovery
Yeah.
Center or something.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can clear as much of the you know, the bush over there, but it's still going to be difficult because there's still that significant rock outcrop that will still continue blocking the Discovery Center from that side. So maybe a sign that
On
sort
top
of
of-
lights up may
On top of the hill.
bring
of
people
Craig
to the
Road?
right direction.
Have you seen that sign?
I
Did you
don't
ever
think
see
I've
it?
seen it.
It's massive.
Yeah, it's huge.
Did you go and look at it?
I've seen it before.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I haven't seen it.
Now,
And if we put it up on a hill somewhere, you would be able to see it from far.
Yeah.
as it
Well,
is
you'd be able to see
huge.
it from your kitchen.
You can't put it up, I don't think you can put it up a hill.
Well, no.
Window, the window kill that. And speaking of signs, somebody's gotta get out to, White Sand and fix that sign.
Yeah, that was reported a while back.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's,
So which one is that one?
White Sand.
There's a sign at White Sand?
It's,
Is that the one on the
the
big hydro
Schreiber.
pole?
Yeah.
On the big
It-
hydro pole right on the beach? Is that
No,
what
no,
you're trying to-
it's on the
okay.
it's on the highway,
On
just past the beach road, like, but on the highway.
Oh, I see, okay.
Maybe half a click on the other side of Flames. It's just peeled to the front, so
Looks like the wind peeled it off there in the last windstorm.
maybe a bolt or two, I don't know.
What does the sign say?
It's just the Schreiber sign.
It's the actual Schreiber sign?
Well, it's,
Talks about the Cascade Trail.
Yeah, I get
is that the
I think it's the
yeah.
trail one. And then something, if you could look into in terms of the sign, so like we have those two signs coming in on either direction that say like third week of July Heritage Days, are we allowed to like put something else on those?
Yep. You,
Like
Well, we
add,
rent the spot, right?
Yeah,
right? So you can put,
yeah.
so like, those would just be two easy ones, I think, if we just covered that with a Discovery Center sign.
Exactly. From a marketing perspective, I think you need to focus on, you know, selling your hot commodity
Yeah,
product, and that's the Discovery Center. Yeah, it's open seasonally, but it's the way we have our tourism oriented, you know, we're getting, it is a seasonal based tourism that we are, you know, facing in our community. So it sort of makes sense, you know, to get people to the Discovery Center and make that the landing zone for the rest of our marketing throughout the community. So we focus on one thing, it will help bring people into this community by saying, okay, here's this landmark, it's coming, it's a remander.
so can we see, is there like a cost efficient way to cover that sign
We'll have to
without
look.
remaking a whole sign?
They make wraps, do they not, Nathan?
Like,
I've seen
I
them
see,
before.
I see the ones for the golden rail, it looks like a wrap
Yeah.
of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
I think you'd have to see the structural integrity of the sign what
Okay.
you have there. If you have something that can be refaced, perhaps you could put a new wrap on it. It depends on the price. It may be cheap enough for us to just get a whole new sheet of aluminum dye bond and
And bolt it out for you thinking?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Can we get
Bolt
Kim
it
looking
over.
into that then?
Yes, yeah. That is something on our radar.
Okay.
We wanted to address even the signage that just says, you know, the Schreiber logo again, because the whole thing, from a marketing perspective, we really need to advertise the Discovery Center as much as we can.
Yeah,
So-
those signs even have like the old Schreiber logo, like nothing on it is relevant.
Yeah.
To be honest.
You know, unfortunately, we just have the Schreiber logo, but that doesn't, like, what does it say to someone who's driving by? If they're from the US or something, they'll have
Right.
no idea what that is, right? So,
Right.
you know, something that's train museum
Yeah,
is, again,
if you're not here on the
more
third week
marketable.
of July, that sign's pretty useless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was talking to Ray, and they already got a bus tour.
From, bus tour from,
State somewhere.
oh, yeah?
Perfect, right?
And one from Winnipeg is coming back. I know from last year. So. Okay, we'll move down into communications, I guess. I wanted to talk about support that resolution from Tweed. We seem to have some sort of the same problem here.
They're, I'm gonna try to actually reach out to them and see
Yeah.
how similar our issues are, and,
Okay.
I think you're gonna find them very, very similar.
Similar, eh?
yeah. I wanna see what they've done, who they've reached out to, and, maybe that can give us a lead for dealing with the hydro infrastructure, so.
Right.
I'm not gonna touch anymore on
Well, I mean, it gives you another name or gives you another avenue, right?
Exactly.
it.
Yeah,
We gotta support them, for sure.
yeah,
And then,
And that might be something you wanna flip over to the municipal league too. And they will also support that,
mm-hmm,
you know, as a group of communities. That just come up at our last meeting.
nice,
We need to,
yeah,
you know, we need to share what we're supporting and pass it on to the municipal league. And then it can go from there. That can get us.
there's even the last folder was changed out, and the other one's cut in half now. I'm waiting for
Yeah.
another company to take their infrastructure and put it onto it's
crazy, right? Yeah,
Yeah. It's Hydro One is just a large sort of burgeoning company, and it's very difficult. You don't always get the same contact you have,
Right.
to coordinate,
if you don't keep right on top of it, like you gotta go. Because if you take a week off in between, it's like you're back to square one because you can't get a hold of the
Yep.
guy that you were talking to the
Yep.
previous week.
Yep.
He's on vacation or he's moved to a
Exactly.
different
Yeah.
division.
yeah, because you're right, it was enlightening just to find out that they actually recognize our infrastructure needs some upgrading, right?
Yep.
So I think you're probably right, the way to keep after them to move us up.
Number one on the
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're looking for a letter of support for bringing in this Mr. Kenyon.
Kenyon.
So just some background information on what he does, and so I got a snippet from his website. Since its creation in 1989, the Bank of Ideas has worked with over 2,000 communities throughout Australia and overseas, seeking to facilitate fresh and creative ways that stimulate community and local economic renewal. Bank of Ideas has undertaken assignments in 59 countries. Bank of Ideas staff are motivated by the desire to create caring, healthy, inclusive, sustainable, and enterprising communities and local economies. Subsequently, they specialize in initiatives to strengthen community building, local economic development, and youth empowerment. Bank of Ideas founder and current director is Peter Kenyon, who can be described as a social capitalist and community enthusiast. So that's sort of what he's about. I think they want to do a workshop. I haven't heard if there's going to be any sort of fees associated with it, but there most likely will be, so.
But they're asking if we would like to host one of these workshops. Right?
I think most likely it would be Thunder Bay as the most suitable location. I did briefly speak with Peggy, and that would be closest to all the communities that would be interested. I think they want us to reach out and sort of bring some word of mouth to uh, this opportunity and bring in neighboring communities, pull them in if they're interested.
Oh, so they just wanna host one of
They,
the
they,
three that they mentioned?
I don't think they know for certain yet.
Oh,
They
okay.
want to work with these communities because they've already been engaged in, I think, these communities. So that's why they're asking us. I
think it might be a nice idea, no, Nathan? I mean, you probably, well, might not land it, but why not
Yep.
try?
can definitely discuss with them.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, why not? I think it doesn't hurt.
Yep, worth looking at. I looked at number 8, might be something we want to support.
Sure.
So County Prince Edward intimate partner violence and an epidemic and the whole move. And it's funny that, I mean, this particular, some of the force that drives this particular case, strangely enough, has to do with bail reform. So it's timely that he was talking about today. Because I saw this on the agenda and thought,
Yeah, it's not a problem, it's going away, right?
no.
Okay, nobody else got anything to do with communications? Move on to unfinished business. Derelict vehicles. I believe we gotta have it's the community's wish. Definitely the community's wish to get rid of all the derelict vehicles around. How we have to look at our bylaw and come up with if there's a better way to enforce it, or we're not enforcing it, or we gotta figure it out.
As I mentioned in the last meeting, I think the most straightforward way you can help with enforcement is right now you permit one derelict vehicle. You reduce that to zero.
We just changed 70.1 there.
Yeah.
The storage of no inoperative.
From 1 to 0.
Yeah. I mean,
Is that
it's,
what you're thinking, Marie?
from the enforcement side, it couldn't be more clear, right? No derelict vehicles are permitted. I think the definition of a derelict vehicle is also quite clear in the bylaw. We're talking about that, and there's two elements, right? Is if you can't move it, it can't turn on and move, and also if it doesn't have a plate. So you may be able to turn it on and move it, but if it doesn't have a plate, it's still considered derelict. So those two elements need to be met.
Had a discussion with somebody 2 days ago. It was smashed up. He says that you can't use it. It's plated. I goes, yeah, but it's inoperable. It's smashed up. It's total. And it has a plate. And like, so maybe the answer is zero
Because when
vehicles.
you look at the definition, it says whether is not operative or which is not licensed. It's not and, right? You can't just have one and then say, oh, that's fine, even though it's in a gazillion pieces, it's got a license plate on it. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the most common complaint you hear in the spring and throughout the summer. And And I have to agree with Nathan, it's not in every yard, that, for sure. It's probably a few, not more than a few, but we gotta get it cleaned up, we gotta kick it in the butt.
I mean, and for several reasons, right? I mean, first is aesthetics. People don't want to be driving or see derelict vehicles piling something's there. That's a fact. Secondly, is safety.
Oh, safety.
Well, you've got kids who are running around. I mean, there's environmental concerns. Anything that's derelict that's leaking fluid into the ground, I mean, there's an environment for several reasons, not just
That's
one
right.
single. I think there's a lot of reasons to do this.
And, you know, to point out again, there's just the safety and environmental reasons are your main reasons of where you actually have teeth. Although aesthetics is important for the business case, can't so much regulate that, but something just peeling chips into the environment. I mean, we got tremendous environmental liability that we pay insurance for now, so. That being said, you know, for people who do have these vehicles, right, what the bylaw is essentially saying is if you want to have these vehicles, you can have them in a garage, you can have them in a one of those sort of portable fabric garages. I don't know what they're called.
Tempos.
Tempos?
What'd you call
Tempos.
them? Tempos.
Yeah.
What the bylaw is referring to as a violation is
Yeah.
if they're left out in the open, deteriorating for everyone to see. So if it's wish of council to address these derelict vehicles, what we can certainly do is amend the land maintenance bylaw to remove one being permitted to 0.
And Nathan, my only other thought when I was looking at this is this whole section 11 and 12 penalties and remedial action.
Yep.
Is there a way to make this clear?
The penalties and remedial.
Yeah, like
So-
are we gonna send a letter and then wait 3 weeks and send another letter and then wait 2 weeks and then someone to knock on your door and then
Yeah.
Do-
In terms of a lot of what you say letters, it has to do with the common law when enforcing bylaw violations. What courts look at is, did you allow the party reasonable time in order to fix the violation or get the violation into compliance? So if from the enforcement standpoint, we say, you know, you're in violation, I'm giving you 2 days to clean it up. The court may see, yeah, that was unreasonable, you know, you didn't give them enough time.
okay,
So the court wants to see, do people actually know what the rules are? Do they understand what the rules of the bylaw are? And B, did the township seek some means of reasonable, was the township reasonable in enforcing that bylaw? So giving them time in order to clean up appropriately. Now, if there's a major health and safety or environmental liability, you know, very much so, we're going to be like, you need to get this done immediately, because for our own priorities, we have to make sure that no persons are at risk of
Right.
being injured.
I guess I just wanted to see that I just even defined a little bit.
Yep.
So that we're not sending a letter, waiting 3 weeks, sending a letter, then giving them a fine, in which they tear up and they say, see you, and then before you know it, it's like
Yeah.
6 months, and you really haven't got anything accomplished.
Gotcha. The difficulty is it's always based on the circumstance. So
Okay.
if you
So-
put a blanket sort of, you know, you're gonna do 3 days or 4 days, you don't know, because if it's a health and safety issue, we want to enforce it immediately.
Right.
If the person states, you know, I'm just coming back from the country, I will be there, you know, in 2 weeks, and I will get this lawn mowed, that may be determined as reasonable.
Okay.
So it's very tricky to find that balance. You have to see it case by case and determine what's reasonable in that window. A lot of what determines that, again, is you have to look at case law as it's brought up. A lot of this gets challenged into the Superior Court, the Supreme Courts, hopefully not all the way, but Court of Appeal, whatever it is. And it gives, it builds that common law, and it's constantly sort of tested with all these, as a municipality, our legislation is, any bylaws we pass are just like any laws of the province
Right,
passes,
they
or
are.
the federal government passes, and that means they all are tested in courts. So there are certain challenges that are present when it comes to
Right.
enforcing them.
And I understand there is a lot of language in here that has to be kept. But just to kind of make it clear, and then I would suggest, once we get this changed, to have some kind of advertising campaign that says, hey, listen, we're not gonna put up with this anymore. We're gonna take action, we're gonna do something, which I think addresses the mayor's concern.
Yeah, no, it's gotta be addressed for sure. And I think if they come back and next meeting with this amended to 0 vehicles, I've been reading it here, and you'll still be able to have it in your, you'll still be able to have
You
it.
can have it in the garage, you can put it in a temple.
Yeah. I don't know, what do you guys think?
But can't have it out in the open.
Well, I agree, and one is one too many.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah, we gotta try.
okay.
We gotta, well, more than try. We gotta enforce it.
Seems to be a big complaint in our community, right?
Yeah, it really does.
Well, like you say, we're gonna be reasonable, right? If somebody says, well, yeah, it looks like a piece of junk, now I'll have it on the road in a week, you can give them a week or whatever, but,
Exactly. I mean, we don't want to waste time, with court fees and bills like that. If we can get voluntary compliance, that's the
Yeah.
first step we try to take. Try to approach it from a sense of, where the approach we take is almost similar to, innocent until proven guilty. So it's like, okay, here's the info if you didn't know, but if you continue this,
Right.
then we're gonna then have to show.
If somebody wants to work with you, I mean,
Yeah.
you need to be somewhat reasonable.
Mhm.
Yeah, the difficulty is with all these bylaws, once a bylaw is passed, whether you choose to enforce it or not enforce it, that is in itself a choice. And if you don't enforce a certain bylaw and it leads to some sort of liability, we could be liable from that.
Yeah.
That being said, that's a difficulty, right? If let's just say there is some sort of environmental hazard that continues spilling onto the ground, and we have a bylaw stating that you can't be having this environmental waste. Essentially, it's not good that we had a bylaw stating that you're not supposed to do that, and we didn't enforce it. So once these bylaws are passed, very much so, we follow through and make sure that they are enforced. So it may be frustrating from the lens of some people, but it's a necessity at that point once we are aware of a bylaw violation that we have to follow through with it and make sure we see the enforcement. Being said, we're happy to work with voluntary compliance wherever we can,
And that's
the preferred
preferred is what
method.
you're saying.
That's
Okay.
always a preferred method.
So
Yeah.
someone has inoperable vehicles, they move them into their backyard that's fenced and cover them with a tarp. Is that,
Potentially in the circumstance, right?
I mean, do we need to clearly define what storage looks like?
I think in such a circumstance, if they've taken the means to mitigate the safety and environmental hazard, where it is no longer going to be, let's just say they figure out a means to do the equivalency of putting it into a garage. I mean, it's no longer contributing to that issue, right? So, from the enforcement standpoint, we don't recommend necessarily the solutions. Is really, all we can say is, this is the violation. What we need to see is that violation isn't caused anymore. It's totally up to the person with regard to seeking their own legal advice, their own insight into how to resolve that problem, as long as whatever solution they have doesn't cause another bylaw contravention.
Okay. I just don't want people to loosely interpret
Well, it's a good point.
outdoor
because
storage.
People will
Yeah.
try to buck it.
Yeah,
They will.
that's, if it's so clear that you can't, like, can we not
Let's say it
say,
can't be visible, throw a sheet over it.
yeah, oh, it's inside storage now, it's in a blanket.
I mean, like,
Well, I bet you that'll happen.
No, but that's what I'm thinking, just some clearer language,
Yeah.
maybe.
if it's neatly tarped and they figured out a means to neatly organize it, right? It's to what extent? Again, the main point here is council has zero capacity to address the aesthetics.
Yes, no, I get that.
No,
However,
but it's not just that, though. That's the
however,
important
moving a
point.
vehicle
Exactly.
from your front yard to your backyard
Yeah.
doesn't stop the environmental impact
Does not.
of it.
Exactly, and that's what I'd be looking at, right? So if someone was to, I'm not looking at it from at all from the aesthetics.
No,
standpoint.
like,
It's
I mean, that's the complaint we get, but
That
it's the
is-
safety and
Yeah.
environmental
Yes.
that you need to worry about.
Exactly. So I'm just saying from the enforcement side, I'm not enforcing it based on aesthetics.
No.
'Cause
No.
that's not, it's under health and safety and well-being and environment that I can enforce it under.
Right.
And that's, as long as those elements of the issue are addressed, right, and mitigated, then it's not an issue.
Okay. Well, that doesn't address it.
No,
Someone
it's
does that.
still
That's
sitting
kinda what I'm
on-
getting
On
at.
the dirt, and they throw a tarp over
Yeah.
it, it still could leak in the
It
ground.
still could leak.
Exactly. So putting a tarp on it, like,
But you could say the same thing about a temporary shed. If you put that over it,
Unless it's on a pad.
what's the
yeah,
difference?
is it on a pad? Is there a tarp underneath? I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and like, I'm not trying to give all sorts of solutions. Like I said, it's
Yeah.
up to the individual to ensure that the violation is no longer, they're no longer in contravention of the wording of the bylaw.
Okay. So when someone says, well, what do you want me to do with it? Like, just say,
I can't give
abide by the
solutions.
bylaw.
It's abide by the bylaw.
Like, that's the answer.
Okay.
Take
It's,
No, that's
it's,
Take it
fine.
to landfill.
Like, well,
you know,
yeah.
it's,
No, I think it's good if we're gonna do something to the
Yeah.
bylaw to look at it
Yeah.
carefully and make sure that when we do it right.
If we gotta come back to
Yeah.
the table and fix a loophole or whatever, then we will.
I mean, it seems very clear.
Yeah.
Just,
Yes,
a lot of
Yeah.
things seem clear.
with a lot of things, what you say, it's an iterative approach. I mean, many times you pass laws or legislation or policy and you see these sort of, what do you say, side effects sort of happening where something unintended did happen, but that's why you just have to revisit it. And for instance, there was in the past a sort of famous legislation was like they put out what you say legislation to cull snakes because there were too many poisonous snakes. And then what they found out was how are people still getting all these snakes? It's because they started breeding it, right, and and farming it, and then bringing these snakes because they figured out it was a quick way to make a buck. So you can't always think of every single sort of solution that people may find, but you can only, what you say, iteratively take a look at those bylaw provisions and update them and change them as needed.
so update, change, and maybe make a little clear this whole thing, right? No, and it's not just about derelict vehicles, there's a lot of stuff in here. Maintenance of land, littering and dumping, maintenance of grass and weeds, grading and filling, or, yeah. So, I mean, there are several issues in here. Okay.
Okay, bring it back.
Certainly, will do.
Okay, move on to other business, road closure at the Schreiber splash pad. I've been approached by a few people. It's not a bad idea, seasonal. It's not a bad idea, and my thought is, because we gotta do, I mean, we gotta talk to the emergency services. Would be to close it in the middle of June until middle of September or something. Right by the corner there, like leave the parking area open, and right on the other side where it was closed last year. And I think it'll be a better and safer area at that point in time for when it's in use.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. As a
Okay.
person, as a person with a 2-year-old who cannot be contained, that seems like a great idea.
People
Always,
I-
my answer before was a standalone fence, but then after talking with a few people and planning on a playground and all that, you don't want to put a fence. You don't want to put a fence there. But there is a way to stop it, and that's close the road during the operating of the splash pad season, which would be like if we can get first, second, third, whatever reading by June 4th, do it by June 14th. And I don't know, I'm just guessing middle of September.
So you're thinking like those road barrier signs one?
Be nice to have something a little nicer though.
You could do
Yeah.
something aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah.
I mentioned, like, I could put the pots, we have the,
I've
Collegers or whatever, yeah.
Oh, that's a smart idea.
I've talked to Tammy about it already, and got some barriers, ideas, and
Yeah, I think just the logistics of how that downtown's there's gonna be picnic tables kind of on the other side of that road too. So like your kids over here, you're hanging out here, they're gonna be running back and forth.
right.
The road being closed is a great idea.
we were looking at that public sector, like designing public spaces, and the key
Yes.
element they said is don't design it for cars, right? If it's a public space, design it for pedestrians.
People.
Part of the history of why originally we're looking at detouring that road off to the side. The reason why it remained there was in order to save money, because we have all our hydro poles and everything are there. We have the road base and everything there, right? We didn't want to rebuild all of that, so closing it up by, whether it's some sort of barrier or pot, something nice that, won't look too jarring, should do the job and keep vehicles off to allow a more enjoyable pedestrian experience.
Really, when we started this, we didn't start it, the other did. Of course, there was a basketball, when we took over, there was a basketball net where the food bank was, so, yeah, we did. So, but anyway, it's the pavilion is supposed to go on the other side, and I want to go after the money for the pavilion and all that, and then when that happens, as far as I'm concerned, if I'm sitting here, I'm going for taking that section of pavement right out from the crosswalk and making that all park, and making the whole corner all park. And if it gets me, whatever,
Yeah.
but that's what I'm going for.
That's not limiting access
But
for anyone.
because we had to break it in two, we can't do that now, so we have to do what we can to, and I'm just looking for support.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
for that part
absolutely.
of it.
As early as what you say, well, our next meeting is on the 9th, so commissioning will be at the end of May, but we can look at that if we need to do a special council meeting.
Next meeting is on the 9th.
The 9th? Isn't that a Friday?
It's a Friday.
Sorry,
It's the
June
13th.
13th.
13th, yes.
So if we wanted, well, we gotta talk to emergency services too.
Well, yeah, definitely.
And, just courtesy, CP.
Mm-hmm.
They'll live.
Pardon?
They'll be all right.
We'll make sure to check all of the requirements for holding
Yeah.
the road, certain notice requirements and all required, so.
Okay, no, appreciate that, thanks. Number 2, council appointments. It happened quick there last meeting, and with everything going on, never got a chance to tell some people, and some people were surprised that we're changing and all that, so we decided we'd go this way and make it formal.
Okay.
So I'm stepping down from the beautification committee, and Councillor Bryson is stepping up to it, and I will take the health and safety committee meeting, and your first beautification meeting is on the 31st at 7 o'clock, but I'll be there for that one too. Okay. Everybody's good with that?
Thanks for the heads up.
Yeah.
Well,
If anybody's interested, I have a couple of appointments here.
okay, 2023 AMO
AMO.
conference delegation requests.
So for Roma, the last 3 that we did were, we're still looking for funding for a wastewater treatment plant.
Okay.
Where that was with Ministry of Infrastructure. We're supporting Oxford Power, and that's with Ministry of Energy. And then we put in one for our housing situation with Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing. Do you want to pursue these 3 issues, or is there any one of these you want to change? That being said, I did reach out to Bill from Oxford Power, and he said that he would look forward to a delegation, so
Yeah.
he's willing to join us for that again.
And they will know us, I mean, they know us better, so that'll be a good one.
I think we, like I've said, I think we have to, now it's coming up our region, we gotta get it out in public that, about the pump storage.
Is that Ministry of Energy? As well? Okay.
Yeah,
That reminds me why I had the June 9th date in my head, because that's when the delegation packages are due.
Or do that, yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that we had a list and you knew what kind of we're going with. Okay.
Are we all okay with those 3 again? I mean,
I'm okay with that, 3.
I think they're
Could you
main
push
issues.
the housing one? Can we talk about impact reassessment, when they're actually gonna do
Yeah.
their job?
2024? I've been on 2 of their little webinars.
And that's what they said?
They said
Oh,
2024.
then never mind. There you go.
I mean, it's probably not gonna hurt to ask. But yeah, I've watched a couple of the impact webinars. Once you watch one, it seems like you get requests for the rest.
Wow.
So, and there is some interesting stuff on there. I still don't understand some of the language, but
Okay.
I think
Yeah.
those are your 3 main, unless there's something else.
Yeah,
I know we keep revisiting them, but there still are 3 main issues, and until they get,
well, we have to get this sewer, we gotta get it solved,
yeah.
we have to.
And did we didn't get all 3 at,
No,
we only ended up
We only
getting
2.
And they were good.
Yeah.
Those were good.
you know, it's more or less it's good in a sense. I know that we revisit the same thing, but we're able to give an update and say, hey, you know, the OCAF funding and all is helping us, but we still need this money, and
Yeah.
We're just saying we need you guys to either lobby to the federal government or put out a specific program that covers this project, that covers us. We're still looking for this money. We don't want you to forget, and that's why we're bringing it up again and again, you know? Eventually they'll get fed up with us and maybe they'll give us what we want.
And the good thing is, we're not the only one that's looking
Yeah.
for that assistance. So,
Exactly.
Yeah. And sometimes there is, when you got numbers, right, there's several
Yeah.
different people. Okay.
Have to reach out to, Mark and.
Yep.
Them, make sure that they're going after it, to maybe even go as a group,
Yeah.
and I think it's actually.
Okay. So you'll get those in then, Nathan? You're happy with that?
I'll do that.
Okay.
The group thing's a good idea. It gets the group thing gets noticed.
Yeah. it
Yeah.
could be.
Because I remember when we went as a group, when we did, when the LNG thing first started,
Right.
at the ministers forum, it got like spoken about.
Yep.
So,
Yeah,
they obviously remembered that.
There's, stone,
Yeah.
or paint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Strengthen numbers, eh?
And all from the same area.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay, that's the last thing on the list, so I guess that wraps up the meeting, so. Resolution 201. Or 202. -23. Moved by Councillor McGrath, second by Councillor Bryson, that the meeting now adjourn at 8:41 PM. All those in favor? Carried.